Welcome back to Wedding Crashers University. Today, we're talking about how we capture 80% of our wedding footage with 2 hands and 1 camera. These days, there are plenty of programs and pieces of gear that will ensure that your shots are smooth and free of any sort of wobble. But sometimes, you've just got to shake it up a little. Today, we're talking about handheld footage, why we love it so much, and how to capture it effectively in your film. First, why? Well, there are many advantages of shooting handheld footage on a wedding day. For one, it's fast, it requires minimal equipment and allows you to shoot events like prep and photo session quickly and effectively. Sometimes there's not much time to capture sequences at all points in the day, so it's important to be able to move quickly. With handheld, you can capture many angles at many focal ranges and have a ton of control over your camera movement. I find that this helps me flow more quickly and creatively when it matters most. Handheld shots can also complement each other well, especially when 2 shooters are covering the same event. During times such as Grand March, cake cutting, and first look, it is nice to be able to cut between 2 handheld camera angles at different focal ranges to keep your films interesting. With that said, let's talk about some methods that we like to use on a wedding day to make sure we're utilizing handheld shots to the best of our ability.
First, I like to keep my handheld setup on me at all times. Dude, literally for the longest time, I refused to keep that little camera strap on my camera because I literally just thought it looked dumb. But then I grew up. In this industry, you cannot get caught lacking. So now I keep the thing on me at all times during the day. Especially at times when I'm shooting alone, I'll hold my gimbal cam, shoot what I need to, and then quick switch to get that complimentary handheld angle. This comes in handy all the time. Even when I'm literally just walking around setting up lights during reception, I'll stay strapped just in case something goes down. Never get caught lacking. Okay, good.
Tip 2 might seem obvious, but can make or break how your handheld shots turn out. Make sure that you keep our OSS IBIS turned on. It can be easy to toggle this on and off on the lens and happens more often than you might assume. So it's good to get in the habit of checking it before you start shooting. You can even tape down this switch with a gaff tape and ensure your OSS is stayed on.
Tip 3, subtle movements go a long way. A longer way than what might be obvious when you're shooting. When we shoot our weddings, we do so on mirrorless cameras that have a pretty small display monitors for you to check your shot. When you're looking at this little screen, it can be hard to accurately judge how much movement is happening in your frame, where on a larger computer monitor, it is much more obvious. Trust me, small movements go a long way. With this in mind, try not to walk while shooting handheld, unless you're purposely shooting for a shaky look. Another way to avoid unwanted camera shake is to keep the camera close to your body. Generally, the further you hold your camera from the body, the less stable your hands are going to be, and the shakier your footage will end up being. So keep that camera close to your body, baby.
Keep that thing taut. Keep that thing taut.
Tip number 4 is to turn on your grid lines. We already made mention of the small screens we're usually looking at while shooting a wedding day, and how it can be tough to accurately assess the quality and the framing of your shot. Turning on your grid lines can help you quickly and easily find your thirds and frame a shot that looks pleasing to the eye. If you're not familiar with the rule of thirds, it's certainly something worth learning about, as a general rule to framing up your shots. There are approximately 800,000 videos on YouTube that explain it in great detail, but in short, the rule of thirds helps draw viewers' attention to the subject of a frame by placing them or it on the right or left third of your image, and your grid lines will help you pull this off quickly. It's a great rule to follow generally, but obviously there is always some room to experiment outside of this framing guideline.
Tip 5 is to keep your camera in manual focus while you're shooting handheld. When you're on a gimbal, this can be tough, but I find that when you're shooting handheld, this allows for much more control over your camera. Putting the camera in manual focus and pulling focus yourself allows for even more creativity and control when you're shooting. And this is something I've really learned to appreciate. And over time, I think you'll find that this makes a big difference too. Autofocus is great in settings where either you or your subject is moving quite a bit, but I find that most of the time this really isn't the case, so I'd rather keep it in manual. Smooth focus pulling can be done most reliably when it's done yourself in the manual focus mode, and it also eliminates the possibility for autofocus inaccuracy. This is especially helpful in settings where there are a lot of people or when something is in the foreground that might cause the autofocus to be shifting around. So that's it. That is the 5 handheld hacks. These are really gonna help you out. These are gonna help you get more dynamic shots. Just give your films a more unique and awesome look. So keep working, keep grinding, and we'll see you next week for Wedding Crashers University. Class is dismissed.